Hi, I'm Whack.
Hey, and I'm Pat. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Weekly Orbit, week ending Friday, May 17th. We're going to try to consolidate the week's news of Rocket Pool into about 30 minutes or so. Whack, it's been a couple weeks. I went on vacation.
Yeah,
I feel rejuvenated. I didn't look at
excellent.
any crypto.
That's amazing.
Uh, Went to Spain. It was really wonderful. Just relaxed. Had a really
That's
nice
lovely.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it is
I,
good. I know Anthony Sassano's been taking a break
yeah,
mentally. It is good to kind of get away and touch grass and spend time with friends and see new places.
yeah. I don't think I could do that. Even if I was like taking a break, I would still be like checking crypto and trying to read some news at least every like a little bit every day. If not, like definitely couldn't go to zero. I don't know how you guys do it.
I didn't totally go to zero. I went to like 5%, I'd
Yeah,
say. But yeah, it's good. I don't know. I think mental break is good. I can do it. I know not everyone can do it. Um, but I feel good. So glad to take a week off. I know you've got some summer plans coming up. We just discussed offline. Vacations are good. If you need to take one, go ahead. Don't feel like you have to be tied to your phone all the time. It's not good.
yeah. I'll still be recording Rocket Fuel from vacation, so it's I can't stop.
Yep, you're one of those people.
Yeah,
Well, what happened in the markets while I was gone? Holy cow. Well, here's Ethereum. We've got,
yeah.
currently it's 2,972. It's been a kind of a rough couple of weeks.
Can you scroll down a
Actually,
tiny bit? It's
yeah,
pretty much
from
flat.
last week,
Yeah,
actually we were flat,
yeah,
2,969 a week ago. So
mm-hmm.
we're almost right on the money.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at RPL. RPL is currently at $20.35. But more importantly, the ratio is at 0.0685, and I think we're just a
Up.
just a hair above that
Yeah.
since last week. Does that sound about right? Let's see.
Yeah, we're up
Yeah, up a little bit. We were at last week
six six
0.0066, so we're up a little bit, not bad.
two
So what's
percent.
been going on the last week or two since I was gone?
Sentiment fell into the absolute garbage. Basically, everyone has capitulated. It seems like people are crying. Like I don't mean to make light of it. Like people are really struggling. Like there's this whole idea that Ethereum is dying. Ethereum is dead. The Ethereum ETH BTC ratio is at new cycle lows, so people are kind of feeling the pain from that, and I think that's kind of just bleeding through the ETH ecosystem. The LDO token hit a new cycle low as well. Like it's back to below when it was in summer 2022. You know, when everything bottomed basically, when RPL hit 0.0075 and $7.50. The LDO token is back to those levels now, like against ETH. So it's having a bad time of it. And it's actually like their chart is looking worse than the Rocket Pool chart, right? Like it's
Oh
down
yeah,
20% this week, and RPL is actually up this week. So
right.
it's painful, painful for everyone out there. And they're still holding up better than RPL over the last year. You know, RPL is down 60%, LDO is down 30%. So they're holding up better than we are, but more recently, like the LDO token's been taking big hits, and everything's been taking big hits. Like if you look at Arbitrum, if you look at Optimism, any like ETH ecosystem tokens are taking big hits because it's just there's a lot of negativity around the ETH ecosystem as a whole right now, and people are kind of pricing in this rejection for the spot ETH ETF, and that has sucked out some of the optimism in the markets. There's also people who are just saying that, you know, there's no need for ETH anymore. This is like the classic barbell theory that, you know, was big in 2020. It's like, why would you get BTC? Sorry, why would you get ETH? You get BTC as the store of money, then you get the DeFi tokens as like, you know, your risky play. It's the same narrative that's kind of coming up again. Now it's like, you know, you get BTC as your store of money, and you get Solana as like, you know, your meme and degenerate play. And that it's kind of like that cycle is being shown again, like, you know, 4 years later, and the same
Mm-hmm.
conversations are being had, and everyone's shitting on ETH. And sadly that does impact the prices. And it's really funny because the last time people had this sentiment, was in 2020. The ratio was down to 0.016 or 17, like against ETH BTC, which was horrible. Now we're at 0.045, which is 3 times higher than we were then, but people are still like so scared and so upset. And the negativity has been quite strong. Like there's infighting going on crypto Twitter between people about how we should be talking about Ethereum and what we should be what we should say its values are and what its benefits are. People are literally discussing the value proposition of ETH, the asset, again. And what's funny is when you look at Ethereum, the ecosystem, it's at all-time highs in terms of activity, monthly active users. Like if you count, layer 1 and all layer 2s, like the activity is through the roof. We're getting like 2.5 million like active users per day and millions of users per month. Like these are the best, healthiest stats for ETH ever. And just because the price is down, everyone is complaining about that. And there's so much negativity around Pat. Like you took a really good time to take a week off. You should have taken off Anthony Sassano type for like a month, instead, because there is a chance, like as small as it might be, that the ETF is approved on Thursday next week, and ETH will be at $5,000 by the end of the day, and RPL will be at like $50. Like that's honestly that's a possibility if it is approved. And then the whole market changes. You know what I mean? But more likely is that it will get rejected. There'll be a wick that takes ETH down to like 2,500 or 2,700, and I think then that will be the bottom of this move. And that's when you pack your bags. That's the time when you get every penny you can and get these tokens and strap in for the next year. That's what the markets have shown us, for so many years. Of course, past performance is not indicative of future performance. It doesn't mean it's going to happen again, but my god, history is rhyming. It's couplets here. It's the most obvious rhymes you can possibly ever get. So yeah.
I mean, all the fundamentals of Ethereum are great in terms of usage, execution, with the blobs 48, 44, the L2s. The L2 thesis is playing out just as predicted. It's just short-term noise, I think, right? Sometimes there's a sentiment that gets too overzealous.
Yeah.
Or too much, when the market is tearing, and then when things, take a hit a little bit, then people get overly negative. It's just on either end of the spectrum. It's sometimes, right?
Yeah.
If you're a long-term investor, you should be just, doing your thing, executing your plan. If you're doing your daily, weekly, or monthly buys, you continue doing that. And if you believe in the fundamentals and the product, then just keep going, right?
Absolutely, exactly. So that's kind of where we are right now, and hopefully that will change soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. Last week we had just touch on the smoothing pool. It was about another average, I guess, similar to the month before. So in April, it was about 214 ETH in the pool. This month, it was 218. Not a great. It's kind of towards the lower end of the smoothing pool distribution, but it keeps going. We had a whale recently just joined with 200 and almost 300 validators, right?
217 validators.
Yeah. So I think about 55% of validators are participating in the smoothing pool. Is that about right?
Nearly 57. Look, it says right there, 20,127 mini pools are in the smoothing pool. The thing is, if you look at these previous months, in December 2022 and Jan 23, we had far fewer people in the smoothing pool at that time compared to now. So the MEV amounts, look, there was 6,000 mini pools, whereas now there's 20,000 mini pools. If you have a look at January 23, right there. Look, so we had 200 and something ETH in there, but there was only 6,000 mini pools. So that tells you that the mini pool income now in the smoothing pool is down by a third, because if the income is the same and the 3 times more validators, then it's come down. The thing is, MEV on ETH right now is really, really low. There's hardly anything coming in. Gas fees are really low. There's no volatility in the markets for the bots to be arbing. So that just shows you that it's not good times out there right now. But this is the same kind of thing that's feeding into the ETH negativity, right? Like, the fees are down, the income is down for Ethereum, MEV is not being captured, blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff. It's really funny because when the fees are high and there's a lot of MEV, then people complain about that. When the fees are low and there's no MEV, people complain about that. So
It's dead.
like,
I know.
yeah, exactly. So it's you can't have it either way, right? Like it's just kind of shit. So yeah.
Yeah, right. I thought going into 4844 that short-term ETH revenue would take a hit,
Yeah.
until because we just created a ton more block space with L2s.
Yeah.
So that's going to take some time to fill up. And in the short run, that may mean, less activity on the mainnet. But over time, it's just like if you build a highway that's 4 lanes wide, they build a new subdivision, and all of a sudden those 4 lanes are now congested. And then they build, let's add 2 more lanes and make 6 lanes. And then within a year, those are full. It's the same thing. It's induced demand, right? We create block space that's cheap. People and developers and users will find ways to fill it. But sometimes there's a lag period there. So I think this is kind of playing out into what I thought would happen. You'd have, lower gas fees on mainnet, but over time, that's all going to start filling up, and they're going to have to create more blob space because L2s will be full, right?
They will.
It's inevitable.
Yeah, and that's basically, you'll see that in the next 6 months. I think once we get more into like the bull market phase, then you'll start seeing the that happening basically.
Sure.
I'm just thinking.
Let's take a look at the deposit pool. We're at about 14,252. It has about 3,700 space left for ETH deposits. There was some decent activity. Let's see if we go to daily deposits. Back on May 8th and May 7th, May 8th had over 3,500 ETH deposited. Since then, we've been pretty kind of slowed to a trickle. We got maybe on a good day triple-digit deposits. So I guess that just reflects the kind of slowdown in terms of overall crypto activity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the thing is as well, like with Rocket Pool right now, there's no hype really in the Rocket Pool like sphere that's kind of coming out of Rocket Pool, and because of that, like not many people are getting LSTs. They're not getting rETH. Also, there's still stuff going on with Eigenlayer and Etherfi and Renzo and Swell and all these LRTs that they're still doing their airdrops. I don't think until those airdrops are finished will we really see like where we stand, and that might be another few months of that stuff yet, like at least into September it looks like, when Eigenlayer do their airdrop. But people are just going to keep farming until then, and we'll have to have some kind of excitement coming into Rocket Pool for people to be like, rETH is the token for me to hold, and right now sadly there's not much of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about DeFi. So flat money, I remember seeing a little presentation at ETH Denver on flat money. They've got a tweet here that says they're up to $3 million. That's 908 rETH held across flat money market and rETH perpetual futures market. Flat money has grown at a rate of $1 million a week since launch. So you got a little bit of growth here. What is what's the TLDR? What is flat money? Could you explain to our listeners?
Yeah, flat money is a kind of stable coin that's not pegged to the US dollar. So it has similar characteristics, I think, to RAI. Although the way that it's collateralized and like set up is slightly different. It's just similar in the sense that it's not pegged to US dollar, but it's kind of a stable coin in that sense. I think it has some inflationary aspects built into it and like some value accrual built into it. I don't fully understand the mechanism of it myself, but flat money is like they're doing a good job of kind of like hyping their product and trying to build some momentum for it. It's the biggest pool of rETH on base, and even though it's so small, like there's $3 million, but what the argument they're trying to make is that this is something that we're building and something that as people come to base, you want more rETH on base, and we're the good place for that to happen. Now $3 million is in frankly, like peanuts. Like there's balancer pools and other stuff on, mainnet or other layer twos like Arbitrum and Optimism that have a whole lot more TVL. But it's exciting when like new protocols come online and they're using rETH as much as these guys are. I think it's their main collateral form right now, which is awesome, right? Like that's really cool. So, I want them to grow. I want them to do more, but we have to admit that, like right now, $3 million is not that much, and maybe they'll be able to grow more, hopefully, because that will then induce more demand for rETH.
Sure. And speaking of DeFi, let's take a look at Rocket Pool DeFi market rates updated every couple of weeks. If you're thinking about, hey, well, how can I get some more yield? I've got some ETH or rETH. I don't have enough to maybe spin up another mini pool, or I don't have enough to buy more RPL collateral. Where can I put it to use? And I check in on this every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And right now, if you look, rETH is yielding about 2.9%. Balancer has, along with, on Optimism, the Balancer rETH, Anchor, ETH, LP. It's kind of a three. You got Aurora tied in with it, but anyways, the yield is around over 14%. You get incentives with Balancer tokens along with OP and Aurora. But yeah, this is a good thing to check in on once in a while if you're looking to maybe just earn some passive yield by providing some liquidity with our ETH. We got with RPL, you can always deposit it into the Aave. I think it's yielding about almost 2%. I think
more than that now. It's like 4 or 5% now.
Let's see. It's on mainnet, right?
Yeah.
Let's go to Ethereum.
Right at the top.
So RPL is 1.92%.
Oh, okay. Sorry, maybe I'm mistaken. I thought it was higher than that.
If you borrow at 5%.
Yeah,
but it's yielding about 2%.
Yeah.
I know. So talking about this for a second, some folks, some stakers, they're underwater or validated. They got their collateral is at say 5%, and for RPL collateral, and in order they don't have enough to go in and buy more RPL to get them up to 10. So I know folks have been like maybe withdrawing a mini pool or two, and taking out that ETH and putting it to use. The one thing you could do here is not financial advice, but you could deposit your ETH into Aave, earn about 1.5 to 2% depending on which market you choose. Ethereum is 1.74. On Optimism, it's 1.65, and on mainnet, it is 1.74. So just as an idea, if you're interested in playing around with some DeFi, take a look at the Rocket Pool DeFi market rates page here. I'll put it in the show notes, and see if you can earn some extra yield.
Yeah.
Are you doing any of this, by the way?
No, I'm not doing any of this. Like, in fact, most of my crypto is just held liquid right now. So I'm down to one validator just to keep my eligibility for node set. But other than that, I've got everything liquid now. The only thing that I'm looking at doing is swapping more ETH for RPL if the market favors, the conditions are favorable. But otherwise, I'm just sitting and waiting. And this was always my intention that basically in the summer of 2024, I was going to go liquid. And I kind of have done that. And I got divorced from Ramana too. We're down to one validator as well.
Ramana.
So
did you have to hire a lawyer?
Yeah. No, it's all good. It was all smart contract, so it worked out quite nicely. So I got most of my RPL back from the marriage, and I'm just sat in liquid now. So I'm not really looking to do any DeFi stuff. I'm just gonna sit on it. But if you are looking for DeFi stuff for your ETH that you take out of validators, potentially one of the better things to do is like swap half of it for rETH, throw it into a gamma pool or a balancer pool, and you can be getting up to like 14%, like between 10 and 15%, which is really great. Like if you scroll down a little bit on the mainnet, like that gamma strategy is paying out 8% basically, but then there's Pancake Swap rETH ETH that's paying 22%. So you're not going to beat those rates basically on mainnet. That's really, really good yield. So throwing in a few ETH there might make sense. And of course, not financial advice. It's risky. You can lose what you put in, all that stuff. Do your own research. But yep, there's opportunities out there for you to do that.
Yeah. Okay, let's switch back to we haven't talked about Houston. we've got a little bit of a delay. Langer's here posted in the forum, in the Discord. During a community review of Houston, a small number of discrepancies were found between the code and our PIP specification. The discrepancies have a medium to low impact on node operator experience, but they are deviations from the agreed PDAO specification. After discussing the options and governance, we have decided that rectifying the discrepancies with our PIP 31 specifically is the best course of action. The fixes have been developed and are being audited as I type this. We expect the audit report to be updated with the discrepancy fixes shortly. We've revised the Houston launch date to June 4th. So it was originally May 28th? May
5th, and it got pushed back 3 weeks to May 26th. And now it's June 4th.
June 4th. So we're about a month longer than the original date of May 5th.
Yeah.
So slightly disappointing, but I guess not totally unexpected how software works, right?
We got rumbling. Yeah, we got rumblings of these ideas that there was something wrong because of rewards tree 10 that Joe suggested, and people kind of like started digging into like what was going on, and it seemed like there was some issues with the implementation of the RPL withdrawal address and how that was going to work with like, claiming ETH and claiming RPL and stuff. Excuse me. And what ended up happening was, instead of we came up with like 4 possible solutions to this problem, and one of them, which we at the time thought was like the least likely, was to fix the contracts, because everyone has this idea that fixing the contracts is like a long-winded process. Like, you have to do testing, you have to do audits, you have to do all of this kind of stuff. And it turned out that Sigma Prime were actually really responsive to this issue, and they were like, yeah, we can fix it in a few days. So it's actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it's fixed by now, actually. I think it was a community call last week where Langer said it should be done within a week. So it might be that it's fixed. It's already fixed now. Well, it was already fixed when Langers wrote this message. It was being audited at the time, but it's likely the audit now has gone through, and hopefully everything is okay with the audit. And if that's the case, then everything's good. If there was an issue found in the audit, then it might be that time June 4th goes a little bit longer. But that 1 week actually was, people responded really positively to the community. They were like, okay, this is actually the best possible solution that we could have. Instead of coming up with a workaround, we got to the root of the issue, and it's all fixed now, and that is way better than what it was going to potentially be. And people like Ramana, Noshua, Waldorf, and a whole bunch of others who really cared about this issue, they're really happy about this outcome, and they're like, this is the best possible outcome that we can have. So thankfully it's looking like really good. So one of the downstream effects of this, of course, is NodeSet launching. They need about 3 months basically from Houston to go live. So Houston now being on June 4th, takes us out to the end of August, beginning of September for NodeSet. So yeah. And
there's always a chance that NodeSet could be delayed, a month or two.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah. If they have their issues in their audits, exactly, then that's definitely a possibility.
Right. Yeah. It seems like you always have to add. When I've got, when you're fixing up property or you're fixing up your house, and you think, okay, I'm going to budget this amount of time and money, always add 20%, just as a rule. It's good. Yeah. Oh, geez, I opened up the wall. I didn't know this was here, right? And so I think in software that analogy can also be useful, right? If whatever they tell you, just add a little bit, because it's probably there's gonna be a bump or two in the road.
Yeah.
So Houston had its little bump. Perhaps NodeSet, it's likely they'll have a little bump. I hope not, but it's probably just how these things work. You always got to add a couple months of delay.
Yeah,
right?
But hopefully this is the last one, and we'll know in the next couple of days whether that's the case. Once the audit report is out, which should be today or probably Sunday night, Monday morning, depending on where you are in the world. So, yeah, it's just the way it is.
So one other thing about Houston, it's going to add on-chain voting system, which will eventually replace the snapshot. Langer's had another post here. He says, during design, our intention was to build a new snapshot strategy to refer to the new on-chain delegation system. so that votes are consistent across the two systems. So there's a couple issues here that'll need to be resolved to allow consistent voting. They talk about on-chain delegation. It sounds like to me, after reading this, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it sounds like there's going to be kind of a transition period from going from snapshot to the full 100% on-chain.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things that the communities we're going to have to work out. Could you elaborate a little bit? Do you know much about this?
Yeah. So the idea is that you want voting to be as accessible as possible to people, and you also want it to be like gas efficient because it's going to start costing gas to vote and stuff. So the idea is of using snapshot partially and using on-chain voting together. And like here, the upside is our snapshot and on-chain systems converge, and then the snapshot UI still works as usual. And then the downside is, of course, that this introduces additional gas to mitigate voting power, and we have to get the messaging and the UX right to ensure there isn't confusion. So the thing is, like, we've been talking about how Houston will allow this on-chain voting thing, which is like the flagship part of the upgrade. But we're actually not quite ready to start using it right away from as soon as Houston goes live. Another thing we have to do is, elect a security council, because voting will start happening in 2 stages now instead of 1 stage. There'll be the first stage, and then there'll be a second stage with the security council being able to kind of override things in that period as well, depending on what, the upgrade is. So we actually will have the rails for all of this stuff, but we won't be in a position where we'll be able to use it, like, not right away anyway. But thankfully, we have some systems in place that'll keep us going until then. It doesn't mean that everything will come to a stop. We'll just carry on the way we are for now.
Yeah. So stay tuned for more news on-chain voting as the weeks progress.
Yeah.
On to earlier you mentioned Eigenlayer, and their token it's not tradable until September 30th, I think. So if you are a lucky, if you're a lucky recipient of the airdrop, Wack, you've put together a really nice video here on Takeoff into DeFi series you have under Rocket Fuel's umbrella of how to claim an airdrop with Eigenlayer if you are in one of the countries, of which there are many, which are banned from claiming. It's basically half the planet, it seems, if you look at the world map. But you've done a really nice job just showing how you can kind of go use your browser and kind of turn off the UR. It basically prevents the front end of the Eigenlayer website from detecting where you are in the planet. Is that about right?
No, it just stops it from detecting whether you're using a VPN. So you still have to use a VPN, but you can then get past the VPN check. So they have a couple of layers of checks. There's a check to see whether you are in the right country, and then there's a check to see if you are using a VPN. And the first check, I think, is a bit more difficult to get around without using a VPN. But then the second check is what people were struggling with and were really upset about. Everyone's kind of used to using a VPN to get these airdrops, right? But Eigenlayer added this extra step where they wouldn't let you use a VPN to claim it. So right as the airdrop went live, people were sharing information on how to actually get around it. So I gathered some information from a bunch of different places and put it together and made this video where I just kind of talked through it step by step of how to turn off the VPN check, and then you could claim your airdrop, your Eigenlayer airdrop. So my Eigen tokens went into my wallet, and then you can stake them or not stake them. It's up to you. But remember, it's a 28-day staking cooldown. So if you want to sell right as tokens go live, then make sure that you unstake at some point in like the middle of August, just to make sure that you have everything available to you when the token starts trading. But this video's been really well received. A lot of people reached out to me to say thank you, because they wouldn't have been able to do it without this video. I'm glad that it was useful for people. One of the first Takeoff into DeFi videos I actually made was about how to deposit your ETH into Eigenlayer. So it's nice, like, it's come kind of like full circle in that time about like withdrawing from Eigenlayer or claiming airdrop basically. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll be using it I did watch it. I'll be actually executing my airdrop probably this weekend when I got a little bit of a time.
Yeah,
No hurry because it's not transferable anyway, but
but
might as well do it when gas is really low.
yeah,
Not that, yeah.
yeah, gas is low all the time now.
Yeah, so
But
I was about to say, wait, I'm so used to doing like stuff on Saturday nights. It's like, well,
yeah.
actually, you can do it pretty much anytime.
I think when you were in Spain, you could have just claimed it without doing any of this stuff. But yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, I didn't bring any computer stuff with
Crypto,
me.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So do you have a win this week?
Yeah, my win is that I've applied to become a member of the IMC. I
Ooh.
I don't do enough stuff for Rocket Pool, so I figured it's my time to give back to the community now.
It's about time. You've really been slacking. You really are.
Right? Yeah, but yeah, I put my name forward as running for the GMC. Sorry, the IMC. I'm already a member of the GMC, of course, but I'm. It's really exciting because the IMC is like a really cool branch of the PDAO, and they do some really cool stuff. The slate is fantastic. There's some really, really cool people on there. So if people don't vote for me to get into the IMC, that's fine. I won't begrudge them that. But I think we're gonna have a great IMC regardless. Like the composition is gonna be really good for the next year. So that's my win, is that I'm applying for that. Not that I've actually gotten onto it yet. Although, like, I do have enough voting power that I could swing it in my favor, but that might be slightly suspect. Might be.
Maybe.
But if I'm not winning, then I'd be tempted to give myself a little nudge. No, I'm kidding.
Like, I think I'll vote for myself. Thank you for all those delegates, all you node operators. Boom. I am now on the IMC. Thank you very much.
but like, if you look, that's a perk of the job, right? No, I'm kidding. But I just feel like I need to give back more to the Rocket Pool because I've taken so much. So yeah,
Right.
that's why I'm running for it. So
That's
it should
great.
be that's my win.
Yeah, my win. I went to Spain. It was a really great experience. It was my first time there. Went to Valencia and Barcelona, two just wonderfully beautiful cities. Met some really great people. The weather was wonderful. I came away with just a really nice feeling of Spain, and it'd be a great place to live. And if you're one of our Spanish listeners, you got a wonderful country there. And so, I came back feeling really good about just about clarity, refreshed, experience a new place, new people. And so that was my win for the week, was Spain. Who thought?
Awesome. Yeah, and you got to avoid the negative sentiment as well by being away. So lucky
That's
you.
right.
Yeah.
No, I was shocked when I went to Valencia that we were told, well, you can go to the city beach, and it's nice, but if you really want the really nice beaches, you got to go a little farther out, out of the city. So okay, so going down to the Valencia beach, and I was like, this is one of the nicest city beaches I've ever seen. It's South Beach. It's almost like South Beach, or actually bigger in Miami. South Beach, Miami. It's wonderful. So I was like blown away. And this is just that's just the normal beach. So, yeah, awesome, really good time. But
Absolutely.
on that note, Wack, we're gonna end today's show. Thanks for listening and watching. Like and subscribe if you can. We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, we'll see you. See you, Wack.
See you. Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.